Hey, we got 4 albums we're going to review this week. We're also going to do another 1 minute review at the end, and we're recognizing an album that turned 31 this week. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, Sean here with Some Dude in Texas. And before we get started on this week's Metal Roundup, let's give a shout out to this album right here. Released 31 years ago this week, Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power. Now I know Pantera's a band you either love them or you hate them, but one thing you cannot deny is the impact that that album had on the metal scene and what the band had as well. When this came out, it just really, just like what the album cover shows, it just really punched you in the face. And it's awesome that it's still going strong, 31 years later. And so, once again, man, happy anniversary to this game changer right here. All right, we'll go ahead and get started on this week's Metal Roundup. We got 4 albums this week that we're going to review. And we're also going to give the 1 minute review a try again at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. First band is out of the Netherlands. Now this is their 5th release. It's the first time I've heard of them, but I'm definitely going to go check out their other albums, after this one. But it's Body Farm, and the album is Ultimate Abomination. And this is 10 tracks, about 43 minutes of music. Man, it's just, I love it. It's awesome. It's got that mix of old school, but with a newer style with some groove to it as well. This is released off of Edge Circle Productions, and it's a mid-tempo with some slower, I can't talk here, it's mid-tempo, but with some slow parts that kind of go up to upper mid-tempo, if that makes sense as well. But it's got a lot of that fast, alternate picking, single note riffs to it. It's really cool, but it also has some chugging triplets, kind of just that slower mid-tempo triplet chug to it, man, and just great guitar riffs on this. Now, there's only I think one song that has, a slight blast beat to it, but other than that, it's just mid-tempo, just good, heavy death metal. Songs that stick out to me is the first song, Torment. About 10 seconds into it, it does this real cool, kind of catches you off guard, just a real low dive bomb solo, then it kicks into that high squeal Kerry King sounding solo stuff. It's really cool, catches you off guard, but it's neat. And then next song, The Wicked Red. This one really stuck out because it's totally different from the other songs on this album. It's got a little bit, it's almost like a sleaze rock song, if you know what I mean, but with a little bit heavier distortion and, of course, a death metal type vocals. It's really different compared to the other ones, but it's cool. But the other songs that stick out, my favorite would probably be The Swamp. It's just really heavy, and then Soul Damnation. But overall, man, it's a killer album. I can't wait to go back and check out the rest of their catalog. I'm definitely going to be ordering this one. It's got a gnarly looking album cover as well. So check them out. All right, now the next one is a band out of Italy named Adversar. Hopefully I said that right. But it's Portrait of a Wasteland. This is their 3rd full album, but it's got 10 tracks. It's kind of a black and thrash death metal, but it's also got some hints of just traditional metal in it as well. It's got real heavy guitars. The guitar solos are really cool. They're really tastefully done. The drums are just kind of straightforward. Nothing, intricate or crazy, just straightforward drumming. The vocals more of a higher pitch, kind of death metal, black metal-ish sounding vocals. A couple songs that stand out to me on this album would be Throwback to Darkness and then Entangled. So I really like it. I thought it was a pretty good album. It's kind of a change. A little different than what I'm usually listening to, so I dug it. So check it out. Now this next album, we're really gonna kind of throw a curveball at you here, kind of lighten it up a little bit. Instead of doing the thrash and the death metal, we're gonna do more just kind of traditional heavy metal on this one. Well, this is a band out of Switzerland named Megaton Sword, and this is their 2nd album called Might and Power. Now, the album cover kind of throws you off, right? You see that and you automatically think, it's a death metal album. But then the logo does not look like a death metal logo. So it kind of threw me off. I think they could have done without the radioactive mutant booger there and probably just left the tomb and everything else. And I think it would have kind of got its point across. But it's just straight up kind of barbarian type heavy metal. Nothing really fancy, just kind of dry, stripped down heavy metal. The guitars, sound heavy, but like no effects. I think he uses a flanger on one song, but they're just really dry. Vocals, singer, man, he's got a real good voice. Not real high pitch, kind of mid range with a little bit of rasp to it. I thought it sounded pretty good. Um, I went back and listened to their first one, and I think the vocals were a little bit lower. They wasn't as couldn't hear them as well, but the guitars are probably a little more fuller sounding than this one. Kind of had a little bit of effects, some reverb, a little bit of delay, kind of brought them out a little bit more. But this has got 8 tracks on it. Just good old school kind of metal. A couple of songs that stick out is Iron Plains. You can kind of picture Arnold Schwarzenegger, as Conan, riding his steed, his horse, going throughout, some trail. It's kind of got that vibe to it. But also the songs Power and Might. Pretty cool. They do have I guess you can call it a ballad. It's got some piano in it. It's kind of stuck out, a barbarian ballad or whatever. Probably could have done without that. But other than that, man, if you just like straight up, just, metal, the 7 tracks out of the 8 are pretty cool on this. So once again, that's Megaton Sword, Power, or Might and Power. So check them out. All right, now the last band here is out of the UK, and this is their first album. They're named King Abyss, and it's Snake Oil. And they're kind of described as a crossover thrash, hardcore, but I also kind of hear some groove metal to them as well. It's 9 tracks. The one thing that kind of stood out on me on this is the guitar playing. These guys have got some killer riffs, just well written, and they're really catchy. I mean, stuff that just really punches you in the face and that sticks with you. Awesome guitar writing and killer solos as well. But one thing, the vocals on most of the tracks, maybe kind of towards the end of the album, they sounded better, but they could have been brought up, like a frog hair higher in the mix. They were kind of hidden a little bit, but there's a couple songs towards the end. It sounds like they kind of brought it up. But other than that, man, it's a well-written album, well-produced. It's kind of that thrash, hardcore, death metal kind of sound to it, but not raw, just real polished production on it. And there's a couple songs that stick out. Actually, there's a few songs. This is a good album. The title track, Snake Oil. And then there's also, in the middle of it, they've got an interlude. It's kind of a classical guitar piece. I tell you, these guys must have really been influenced by Randy Rhoads, because you hear a lot of D in it, if you know what I mean. But then they follow it up with a song that just punches you right in the face called Fear the Dead. And then after that, a short drop and a sudden stop, and then Eyes Always Watching. I really enjoyed this album. It's not raw death metal. It's well written, just polished, just heavy, kind of thrash, hardcore metal, man. I really dug it. All right, now we're going to try the 1 minute review again this week. Once again, we got 3 bands and 1 minute. So we'll go ahead and get that timer started. And here we go. All right, the first band is out of Canada. Thanks to Anthony over at Metal Miners for turning me on to these guys. It's Chasm Dweller, and it's Blood Vortex. 7 tracks of that old school, sludgy, chuggy, gloomy death metal with those guttural vocals. If you like it sludgy, definitely check these guys out. Next band's also out of Canada, Colossus. It's either I or 1, I'm not sure, but it's 5 tracks. This is more just kind of real tight death metal with heavy crushing guitar rhythms, and then just low but distinctive vocals with some mid to high range to them as well. And the last band is out of Finland called Disguise Malignance, and this is Unearthly Death. It's a rehearsal promo for 2023. It's raw but well mixed, just that old school Finnish death metal with the guttural vocals, but with that occasional hacking of loogies, the sound to them. Pretty cool. Check them out. All right, well, that wraps up that 1 minute review for this week. Also wraps up this episode of the Metal Roundup. So Once again, if you like what you're seeing, hey, please hit that subscribe and like button, and also, continue to use those leave those comments as well, man. Like I said, I've enjoyed talking to you. It's a lot of fun, and let me know what y'all think about these albums, and also what you think about the vulgar display of power as well, man. So once again, hey, thanks for watching, and until next time, y'all take care.
Y'all come back now, you hear?